Morning. Welcome to today's live. Hope you guys are having a great day so far. Really enjoying starting the daily journal at 7 a.m. It feels like my mind is fresh, and there's a part of me that actually wants to do this even a little bit earlier. But I think it's people aren't up. I've set myself the time at 7. I don't want to keep changing it. Gives people an opportunity to kind of tune in if they want to kind of listen in as well. It's day 3, and just like that 3 days, we've already started to build a lot of momentum, and I'm pretty happy with the momentum that we've been able to build. And as of yesterday, I've committed to do 1,000 episodes. So I think unconsciously or even consciously, I knew that I wanted to do 1,000, which is why on the previous episodes it said 0001, but now I've actually listed it as 3 out of 1,000. And I just want to see, like, it's going to be difficult. Like 3.5 years, I don't think I've ever committed to anything every single day for 3.5 years in my entire life. So this will be the first, and this will be proof to myself that I can do what the most successful people do. I'll share with you guys some of my learnings, but if you guys are tuning in on the way to work, getting ready for work, what's up? Thank you for tuning in. I also want to say thank you for everyone that's actually supported. I've been getting quite a few messages on the series and how you guys appreciate the honesty and the transparency. I appreciate you guys for being a part of this journey. So as of yesterday, I've started to feel a really good sense of direction and momentum. You know, we talk about overwhelm as not having a strategy or an order or a structure to do anything. And I feel like right now with the daily lives, I will never run out of content. And it's contingent on me continuing my journey every single day. Like if I were to keep applying myself every single day, reflecting every single day, I will never run out of content. I go through so many thoughts. Like I think you guys go through a lot of thoughts throughout your day, and you might not even realize it. When we started creating content, people say like, wouldn't you run out of content? Wouldn't you run out of stories? Like you have so many stories that you just haven't exercised that muscle to be able to share. And I think we're starting to build that muscle right now. And now that I'm just more conscious of the thoughts that I'm having, I'm instantly writing it down and able to reflect on it. And I can make a decision on whether I want to act on it or not. And I think most people just find it hard to take action. They have all these thoughts in their mind. They play all these different scenarios and they feel anxious about it. They feel overwhelmed and they never take action. It becomes one of those thoughts or those ideas that it's just like a fleeting moment. So we're starting to build a lot of momentum. And I feel great. I definitely think that if I were to continue this for 1,000 days, it's impossible. It's unreasonable that we don't succeed. Like unreasonable. Hang and I yesterday were talking about building our personal brand. And the lens that I use to consume content over the last few weeks has been different to the lens that I have used previously. Sometimes I consume content just to consume as a consumer, but now I'm looking at it from the perspective of a creator. And you have guys like Hamza, for example, you know, has a great audience, very, very influential for his demographic. And one of our team members, Mert, likes his content. I don't really watch his content at all, but I see that some of his values are aligned with mine. I don't listen to the red pill stuff. However, Alex Hormozi is hosting something called the School Games, which is why our community is now on school. We definitely think it's the direction forward to gamify being part of the community, to incentivize and reward contributing, you know, and being in community is important. As humans, we have this innate desire to belong part of a community. It's just like my parents, when they came over here from Vietnam, you live in different, like particular suburbs. I'm just going to turn off these reactions. You live in particular suburbs, right? So Asians in Melbourne would live in like Springvale, Footscray, St Albans, Sunshine, because you're part of a community where you belong with others who are similar or that you can relate to. We're actually in the northern suburbs right now, and there are a lot of Middle Eastern, a lot of like European people, but you know, we all want to be part of a community. And I think building a community, like I wish on my fitness journey, when I started a few years ago, I had a community to be a part of that shared the same values, but I never really had that. And I think that's one of the reasons why I fell off, because my friends weren't really into fitness. Some of them were too hardcore, while the other ones were just going out all the time. And, you know, you become the average of the 5 people you hang out with. And so we want to create a higher standard. And Alex Hormozi in Putter School Games gamifies for other coaches to build their community. Within 30 days, how many people you can bring in. And Hamza was actually number 1. And his followers is like cult-like. And so regardless if you enjoy his content or you relate or you resonate with his content, I think it's irrespective of the value that he's been able to provide for his demographic. And I think for me to not acknowledge that would be a missed opportunity, because I think we can learn off everyone. Hank and I had many discussions about Andrew Tate as well. And I think it's interesting that he has his views, and it's not important whether I agree or not. I think someone or everyone should have the ability to be able to voice their opinion. And there was a bodybuilder recently that got beat up at a pro show for voicing his opinion, that he thought that show was too expensive for spectators. And yet the promoters actually got goons to actually bash this guy. You know, again, I believe in freedom of speech, and it means freedom of speech as described by Elon Musk is when you hear something that you don't want to hear. Otherwise, freedom of speech is pointless. And that resonates with me a lot. And so every time I hear something that I don't agree with, I'm like, I'm glad we get to have freedom of speech. Like, you're entitled to that opinion, as opposed to censorship and having one perspective. Like, it's practically propaganda. But anyway, Hamza was number 1, and I was watching the interview with him and the owner of School Games, and it was talking about how he was able to build his following. And for him, he feels like he's living life as a cheat code, because he's just him, and that's his business. He doesn't need to try to create content. He just shares his opinion, and it almost doesn't matter what the opinion is. You just need to be so extremely opinionated. And I think the fear that most of us have is that we're afraid that people might judge us. For example, there are people that think the earth is flat, and they are very well-known celebrities or high-level athletes that think the earth is flat, and they probably generate a bit of a following, people that align with their interest in their sport or their field or their industry, but also believe that the earth is flat. And I think, like, what myself and Hang, what we need to do is learn to exercise that muscle to be ourselves, to be unapologetically ourselves, to have our opinions, to not be gray. And I was actually teaching the coaches this, like Nam, part of our team, I was teaching him this as well. We had this discussion in the team, and Nam wanted to add something to the conversation. He's like, "Oh, look, I'm not on either side, but I wanted to share this." And what was the topic? That old people shouldn't drive. That was my opinion. Old people shouldn't drive. Old people should have to have their license retested every 10 years, right? It's not that all of them shouldn't drive. I think some of them can, but I think they can cause a lot of road rage, and they could possibly cause accidents. And then Hang comes in with from her position of compassion, and she's like, "Oh, you have to understand where they come from. You have to be compassionate." I'm like, I am compassionate. Still don't think they should drive. Just like a surgeon shouldn't operate if the hands are shaking, right? It's just the limitation. That's just the way it is. Then Nam comes in and says, "I'm not on either side, but my friend recently got into an accident and the person was like 70 years old." And I'm like, "Nam, you should have an opinion. Like, how can you not have an opinion?" You know, maybe it's because society has taught us to not have that opinion, to conform, to just get along with everyone else. I think we should always have that opinion. And it's not about being right. It's just like sharing what you believe in, sharing what your values are. And when you have that opportunity to be able to share that and have these healthy debates, that's how we learn as a whole. You know, we need to start looking beyond our own lives and see how we have an impact on others, because as society develops and time goes on, we learn off each other. You know, the information that we have now is from our predecessors, our previous generations. And if we're gonna, you know, just keep to ourselves, we're not advancing humanity as a whole. So I'm just trying to play my part. And with Hamza, he's able to really build a cult-like following because he has his opinions, regardless of whether you agree. And so I was telling Hang, I've been telling her for so long what I think that she should do with her content. but I'm not doing that myself. And that's something called the Solomon's paradox, that most of us give better advice than we apply ourselves. And the reason why it's called Solomon's paradox is Solomon was a king, and he gave great relationship advice, like really solid advice, terrible with his marriage, cheated on all his wives, and his sons hate him, but he gave great advice. And that's why it's called Solomon's paradox. And I think we're all like that. We all give really good advice, but we don't apply it ourselves. And what I've been telling Hang was, I know so much more of her, and there's a reason why I don't know a single human being that doesn't like Hang who has met her in person. And all her clients absolutely love her. We got to meet Juk yesterday. One of our clients from Washington in the States said that Hang is like pretty much the only person or the first person that's seen her for her. It's kind of the same reason why I fell for her. There's these great values, but I don't see that in the content that she creates. And she's just putting this version of herself that she wants people to see, which is completely normal. Because it's funny, because I'm doing the exact same thing. I've been doing the exact same thing. You know, I'm talking about content about like fitness or but that is a part of me, but that's not why people have decided to quit their jobs to join Achieve Championship. Why they choose to pay, you know, why my friends have transitioned from friends to being client and actually paying towards their personal development. There's something more that I'm not able to show, and that's really my personal brand. And I think these daily journals is going to help me develop a bit more of that personal brand, because I'm not trying to fill a type of mold and trying to target a particular avatar or demographic. I'm just being me. And I think the fact that I just feel like I'm being me, I'm infinite me. I can be me every day. And the more that I'm me, the more and the better I get at being me. And just seeing the feedback I get back, you know, it's motivating, right? It drives you forward, knowing that your actions that you feel like make you feel alone actually make you feel more connected than ever. You know, and I think about everything I do every single day. I'm going to have to show up and talk about it on my daily journal. I don't want to lie about it. I don't want to admit defeat. I don't want to not do what I say. And so it makes me drive harder. It makes me feel like every action that I'm going through right now, it's being watched. And we train harder when someone's watching us. We're much more motivated, you know? So I appreciate and I want to say thank you guys for being part of this, for being a part of my personal journey. So I hope the lessons that I learn every single day, the challenges and the hurdles that I overcome every day help serve you in some way, and you can apply and learn from this. So that's the personal brand stuff. What I suggested to Hang was show what she's working on right now to be a better human being. And I'll let her show that side for you guys. And I'm doing the same as well, which is why I'm, you know, I don't even have a fancy teleprompter I'm reading off. I just have notes that I have on my phone. And these are just the notes that I wrote yesterday as I was going through my day. Something else that happened was I got feedback on the content. So I posted my first 3 reels. I got feedback back. And when I did these reels, because we filmed it at like really high quality, I wanted to keep the editing to a minimum. I didn't want it to be like over edited. But I also got feedback from my coach. And I think this is the value of having a coach, because it turns out I was completely wrong. I mean, there are creators out there that have really minimal editing, but maybe it's because they've already established some kind of connection. And I was asking like, hey, you know, the performance of these, the content is not doing as well as I would have liked. And he just helped me set expectations, which is, it's going to take 50 to 30, maybe even like 60 videos for you to calibrate, because I've generated so much different types of content. And that makes so much sense. It just really helps to have someone reaffirm what I kind of suspected, which is that I need to, like, over the last, with my Instagram, if I were to break down my following, the first 2,000 followed me for a particular reason. The next 4,000 followed me for something else, because I started making the meal prep content. I started boosting those reels. And then the next like 1,000 or 2,000 followed me for new stuff. And then the last like couple hundred followed me for other stuff. So my audience is so saturated. So when I post a piece of content now, it's not it's not the content that people have decided to follow initially. And I've made so many different pivots over the last 3-4 months that there is no, like, I don't think anyone can go to my profile and be able to say, this is the type of content that he creates. It's just all over the place right now. And it takes time to build that foundation again for the algorithm to calibrate and start targeting it towards the right people. But I'm also new at the specific type of content that I'm creating. I'm establishing my authority in that space, and I need to show a little bit more evidence of the things that I'm talking about. So I'm sharing stories of when I was, going out a lot, drinking and drugs and all that, but I've got no footage to back that up, and it just sounds like I'm just making stuff up, which makes sense why the B-roll would make sense, because it adds credibility and it also adds context to the story, so you're not just looking at someone's face. And it's good to be reminded that progress doesn't happen overnight, and I think as coaches, as a fitness coach, we have clients that come in and they might not see results overnight, but because of our experience and our exposure to these elements, where we're more familiar of what results we can and we shouldn't expect. And just sometimes helping someone remind themselves that they're heading in the right direction allows them to stay motivated, because I think most of us, we lose motivation when we don't see results. And if we're not tracking it properly, we don't know how to analyze the data, we don't know what we're looking at, then it's going to feel like we're not moving anywhere. And if you're not moving anywhere, why put in the work if you're not going to get the results of the work that you're putting in? So I'm very appreciative that I have a coach. I also got my check-in from my fitness coach as well, just guiding me towards the next steps of my building season. And to be honest, I'm supposed to be doing 30 minutes of cardio every Wednesday and Saturday, and I haven't been doing that. The exercise bike has been in the garage, but now that I'm doing these daily journals, I'm actually going to do it today. I'm going to do it in the garage, and I'll update tomorrow whether I do it or not. And so I'm very grateful to have this daily journal. It keeps me accountable. I'm voicing it to the world, and it just makes it more likely that I'm actually going to do things. And this is what my ethos was from the start when I started making YouTube videos. I wanted to voice what my intention was into the world. And when I did that, the action started to follow. And I felt like I haven't been doing that over the last year, because I think a part of me doesn't want to be vulnerable, and a part of me doesn't want to share all the things that I'm struggling with. Because I feel like when you've been in business for 3 years and you feel like there's a current stigma or dogma of what people are expecting of you. They see that, hey, you guys are doing really well, you're successful. I feel like I don't want to say, hey, we're not actually doing as well as you might think. I think that's hard to acknowledge. And because I didn't do that, it's robbed me of months of real and true development rather than just facing the reality. So thought I'd share that. Yesterday during training, I had a thought of like losing motivation while training. Training is so monotonous, and I was telling Hang, like, I don't even have a favorite day, like a favorite body part to train anymore. And I used to be like back, or used to be arms, but I don't have a favorite day. I train them all equally as hard. And because I'm training all as hard and I'm pushing absolute to my limits, it's so uncomfortable every single set, every single session. And I realized that I want to push as hard as I can, just to repeat the same process for multiple sets, for multiple days, for weeks and years on end. And I just felt so small, not literally small. I felt so figuratively small compared to the grand scheme of this whole entire journey. It just felt so monotonous. And I felt like, am I really that passionate about training? And then I wouldn't say I snapped out of it, but I started to rationalize and try to understand what I was thinking. And I said that this is where progress is made. This is where the novelty wears off. The initial motivation completely wears off, because I keep comparing what my motivation was when I first started training like 4 or 5 years ago. I'm making new progress. I've never seen my body like this, and I'm pushing hard every single session. I'm enjoying the process of training because I'm seeing myself grow and develop every single day. Now that I don't see that anymore, I'm still making progress, but progress over time, all that motivation is gone. And this, right now, we're in the thick of it. Same thing running a business and fitness. We're right now in the thick of it. Most people can do well for the first 1 or 2 years. And it's after the 1 to 2 years that they start to dip in terms of the motivation. So we're at that sticking point right now. And I think what has been holding me back is distractions. And the best analogy that I can give you would be, if you guys follow F1, you have Lewis Hamilton, he's won like 7 world championships. And then you have Max Verstappen, he's a new guy, he's won the last 2. He's probably going to win this one. And there's a lot of debate comparing the two between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. And Lewis Hamilton is someone that people would consider to be distracted. He is building his personal brand, as he should, because his career in F1 is going to last forever. And so he's doing all these other things, which is great, but he's distracted. And people love Max Verstappen more because he's so pure. He will do a Grand Prix weekend, go home, and he'll race on his sim racing rig for 6 hours, at a high level, competitively, because he just absolutely freaking loves it. He's an absolute nerd. And I mean nerd in the best possible way. It's the same with Sam Sulek. People love him because he's uncorrupted, undistracted, and just loves the lift. He's so pure. And another analogy is like Messi and Ronaldo. Ronaldo also very distracted, versus Messi is just a pure dude that just loves the football. They both love it, but just the impression of what the media sees. And I realized that if I want to be a champion, if I want to be the best at what I do, I have to be an absolute freaking nerd. I have to be so committed and eliminate all distractions. And I have to be enveloped. And of course, along the journey, there are going to be sticking points where you lose motivation, but you need to learn to push through. Because what I'm feeling is not that I'm losing interest. I'm just losing the motivation, which is different. The interest is still there because would I take everything away? Would I quit fitness? Would I want to just live with a dad bod for the rest of my life? Absolutely not. And so I do want the end goal. So the interest is there, but the drive to want to work hard, it wavers. And most people, when they react to that feeling, they just give up and they end up nowhere. I just need to learn to push through. That's really all it is. I need to reignite that fire again. Push hard so I can make more progress, and progress becomes self-motivating. That's really all it is. But yeah, that's about it. That's my thoughts for yesterday. I feel like after brunch, I could have been more productive. I felt really tired after brunch. It's like 40-minute drive there, 40 minutes drive back. A bit draining. I was just on the couch a little bit, but then I started to work afterwards, and then we went to the gym, had a great workout, but I felt like I could have been a bit more productive. Today's Wednesday. I don't have training. It's a rest day. So it's an opportunity for me to make up all the work. I feel a bit overwhelmed, but I want to document that, and I'll share how I'm able to get through that for tomorrow. But yeah, I think, I'll share that thought for tomorrow. Anyway, hopefully you guys found this valuable. That's just my thoughts for day 3. And the thought was really exciting for me. I don't expect people to tune into like a daily journal. I think it's interesting for some, but it's not for most. But there's going to be people that jump in occasionally. And right now you see it as 3 out of 1,000. In a few weeks, it'll be, 30 or 40 out of 1,000. Then in a few months, it'll be 100 or 200 out of 1,000. Then a couple hundred, and then it'll get closer and closer. And I think as I start to build that momentum, people will realize, including myself, that this isn't something that's short-term and temporary. Like, I'm going to make it to 1,000. And 1,000 is going to be a great celebration. And just seeing where we're going to be in terms of the business at 1,000, I guarantee we're going to have a lot more people join in at 1,000. I think I'm going to be better at speaking. I will have accomplished a lot more. I'll be a completely different person. And that's just exciting to think about. And so rather than thinking about what we get in terms of business or revenue or clients, I just want to try to get to 1,000. And if I can get to 1,000, all that is just going to happen as a byproduct. Just like your workouts. If you were to be consistent for the next like 300-400 workouts, you're just going to have results. It's just what's going to happen by default. So the work is the goal. That is it for today, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I will catch you guys tomorrow. Appreciate you guys following. If you guys want to follow me along through my day, You can check it out on my story. That's it. Catch you guys soon. Peace. Peace, peace, peace.